convened by the Two Countries, One Voice coalition, a growing and national community-based coalition in the United States that's been formed to inform the American public and to call attention to the monopolistic practices, the abusive business practices of Mr. Carlos Slim, the wealthiest man on the planet. And let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Juan Jose Gutierrez. I am the president of the Vamos Unidos USA organization in Los Angeles, California, and the co-coordinator of the Two Nations, One Voice coalition. First of all, this week, you won't just see press conferences. You will see direct actions. I want to be clear that Occupy Wall Street, and as a member of the movement and as an activist, I speak on behalf of all those who are interested in occupying Saks Fifth Avenue this week. And I'm here specifically to raise attention for New Yorkers to know exactly what's happening in our city and with who's doing it. Occupy Wall Street began to highlight the social and economic injustices that are happening around the world, but particularly from a very specific class, a very specific type of one percenters. The global monopolistic vampires who make their money at the expense of workers. And it turns out that New Yorkers, the capital of the world, are harboring this person named Carlos Slim. This person named Carlos Slim has a huge $250 million stake in the New York Times. It turns out this person is also the single largest personal private stakeholder of Saks Fifth Avenue. Well, these are institutions that New Yorkers look to. I personally, as a member of the 99%, am not shopping at Saks Fifth Avenue, but we're not angry at people who make money, who do things in a positive way, who provide opportunities for people to earn a living while they also make a profit. We are angry and we are calling attention to people who believe that poverty is an economic opportunity. These are the same people who believe corporations are people and money is speech. Occupy Wall Street rejects those claims. Carlos Slim pillages his community, his country, dollar by dollar every day. And as a Latino in Brooklyn, coming from Sunset Park with roots in Bushwick as well, we see the impact of this actually happening in our neighborhoods. People are hurting to communicate. People are hurting to just keep their family together, while people like Carlos Slim get celebrated for their exploitive processes of making money. We reject this type of capitalist. We reject this type of entrepreneur. So today we stand here calling attention to Carlos Slim, joined by members of the community, Two Countries, One Voice, and the most important thing we can do is raise awareness. Raise awareness. New Yorkers, please pay attention. Carlos Slim, the 1% of the 1%, who is the global monopolist, is now in our city with his money. If we reject the claim that the 1% of the 1% should dominate politics, if we reject the claim that money should dominate and corrupted business practice should be the model, then we must, as New Yorkers, reject Carlos Slim and his money in our city. We stand as part of a global, national movement to say to all of the people like Carlos Slim, we are watching, the world is here, and you cannot move any longer pillaging people at the expense of a movement. So today we stand here and say, Carlos Slim, you are on notice. New Yorkers are paying attention. You will no longer destroy services. You will no longer destroy competition, and you will no longer lead a movement that exploits workers without pushback. We are going to push back. This is a press conference. You will see us at Saks Fifth Avenue this week as we raise awareness and let New Yorkers know that we will not stand for these vampires anymore.
I'm here today to join a group of New Yorkers and Americans that oppose a major and fundamental flaw in our country, which is called income disparity, and a business model that in its very essence is predatory. It is the business model that has been implemented in Mexico. It is a business model that is now being implemented here. And that's what brings us together. Two countries, one voice. And we were asking for a protest, a 4-day protest of Saks Fifth Avenue, starting August 7th. You know, these income disparities and these predatory models established by Saks Fifth Avenue and other business interests that are in Mexico and the United States. We're right at the center of the international voice of protest led by Occupy Wall Street that manifested itself here in New York City and across the world. So as long as we consider to have this predatory model, and as long as we continue to have these large disparity of income across the world and in Mexico and the United States and other countries, we will continue to fight to ensure that there is a level playing field for all people, that the gap between the have and the have-nots does not continue to widen, that the predatory business models are dismantled, that working class people will be able to have good paying jobs with benefits that they're entitled to. So this is our voice. You know, this is our message. Two countries, one voice.
We have in this country pointed out our issues with income inequality and those who are most rich and those who are most poor and how that rift has grown. But we must also do that when we see that happening in other countries. And as Latino legislators, we have a unique opportunity to point out when that is happening in our backyards, so to speak. I represent East Harlem and Bayou, of which I have a growing Mexican population. And every time they call home, every time they check in with their relatives, they are continuing to support what we know to be a monopoly that unfortunately creates a situation where higher prices exist, people pay more, and there's not an investment in the country as it should be. There was a report that came out by the OECD that said $13.4 billion is the number that citizens have been overcharged as a result of these practices. How much could be done with $13.4 billion in Mexico? How much more could be done to address the income gap in Mexico, as well as throughout the world, but also here in the United States? That's what we're bringing attention to. Carlos Slim is a symbol of what is the richest person in the world not investing in their markets, allowing the citizens of their country to pay more so they can do better. Well, we're saying that united as one voice, representing Latinos not only in New York, not only in the United States, but when we have the opportunity to our brothers in Mexico and our sisters in Mexico to make sure that we are united in saying this should not happen. You should not have to pay more.
Hola, buenas tardes. Morena Nueva York es una organización plural, independiente, ciudadana, que lucha por la democracia en México. Nos unimos hoy a Two Countries, One Voice, dos países, una voz, ya que estamos en contra del monopolio de los medios de comunicación y la forma que se ha enriquecido este a costa de la mayoría de los mexicanos por sus prácticas monopólicas. Creemos en el acceso de telecomunicaciones es básica para el crecimiento sustentable en México y la reducción de la pobreza. Luchamos hoy por un país justo, libre, próspero. Gracias.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Mercado. I'm proud to stand in solidarity with two countries over a voice on behalf of La Fuente. La Fuente is a non-partisan organization that empowers communities to take action through grassroots organizing, through leadership development and civic participation. This is what we're doing here today. Together we will help shed light on the price gouging tactics of telecommunication systems owned by Carlos Slim and his family. It's time to take a stand. It is through these means that La Fuente members maintain contact with their loved ones through Mexico, Dominican Republic, Colombia, and Puerto Rico, for example. We know what monopolies and the exploration of our working class and poor can do to our community, and we stand in solidarity to once again to say no more. It's time for us to really truly make a stand as one group. Carmen Perez is a member of our leadership, and she's one of our members of our Leadership Advisory Committee, but she's going to speak in Spanish in regards to La Fuente.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Carmen Perez. Soy una líder de la organización La Fuente y activa en la comunidad del Alto Manhattan y el Bronx. Estamos en solidaridad con dos países, una voz, en la lucha contra las prácticas, en contra de las prácticas imperialistas del sistema de telecomunicaciones de México y la continua expansión de este sistema en la República Dominicana, Puerto Rico y América Latina. No tengo que ser economista para saber que las prácticas del monopolio son malas para el desarrollo económico de cualquier país. No podemos apoyar un sistema donde el más rico se está haciendo rico a costilla de los demás. En este país batallamos para asegurar que nuestras empresas de comunicación como Verizon hagan justicia con sus trabajadores. Aunque todavía no se han comprometido darles un contrato laboral justo, el director ejecutivo de Verizon se acabó de aumentar su salario a 23 millones al año. Imagínense si no hubiera competencia. Este sistema de riqueza no ayuda a levantar nuestras economías. Al contrario, el ejemplo de México nos indica que este monopolio en la telecomunicación atrofia al desarrollo de un país. Apoyamos esta lucha en contra de las prácticas monopolísticas. Juntos podremos lograr un sistema más justo. Sí se puede.